who is, I'm sorry, stop rolling that man outside in public. Boycotting Target for what? And they never want to address the problems, which are employment for Black Americans, crime, healthcare, mental health, and of course, reparations. But now you see all the Black Boulets trying to shame Black Americans who are not supporting illegals. A lot of Black people are supporting for the deportation of illegals. A lot of Black people voted for Trump. I am one of those people. So the thing is, why would I sit up here and be part of this fake Black brown coalition, which never existed? And there's a whole bunch of documentation that said so. So why would I be a part of this pro Black and brown coalition whenever we are a part of that or champion that? It always harms our group of people. But people continue to follow these Black boulets and listen to their BS. And maybe because they want to be a part of that elite community. And let me bring up Empress. Maybe they want to be a part of that elite community. So this conversation today is about a Black Civil War, the Black Boule versus the streets. That means everybody else in the Black community. I want to throw on the ICE deportations. I want to throw on the Congressional Black Caucus, the DEIs, and all that conversation, because we really need to have a conversation about the gatekeepers, which is never going to change, because what they're doing is they are educating and molding a newer generation of gatekeepers, i.e., Jasmine Crockett and others. She has not once expressed anything that Black America needs or a Black American agenda. But she has constantly talked about the LGBTQ community, trans community, and illegal migrants and immigrants. But that's not our problem. Mark Card, I haven't even seen Mark Card. I don't even know where he's at, but he's always talk about the Black Boule, and I get it, right? And I'm just saying is the conversation needs to be had. It needs to go a little bit deeper. And it's not just one particular thing. It's a bunch of things. But I don't understand for the life of me that there's more streets, us, than them, the Black Boule, but we still allow these people to be in these positions to so-called speak for us. So if you want to request to come up, do so. I don't know where the hell Peter's at, because he know we co-host on Sunday. But the show is still going to go on. All right, so I'm going to go to Sherelle and Empress. Hey, Sherelle.
Hey, how you doing? There's a lot of back and forth in me trying to find my way on certain topics that you're talking about, and trying to really process and listen into what you're saying, and really try to understand and get an understanding of different people's perspectives on this. And what I've come to find out, there are different communities. And I think here on the West Coast, it works a little bit different in each state. And I'm going to tell you why. And the way that I'm just going to focus in on the different groups that you mentioned here, which we'll talk about the Blacks, and then we can go a little bit further. But I'm going to say this: there are different situations that Black people face state by state. Okay, now in certain states they live in more smaller towns where they've got their own thing going on, and maybe there's just not a lot of opportunity in their cities, and they need investment in different business opportunities and just exposure to new opportunities. And we need to be stimulating and creating policy that allows that to happen, for them to have the financial funding to do that, not just for the Black community, but for the entire community in general, because sometimes these communities often end up in stagnant situations. But the other thing that you mentioned here was uh, the differences between making decisions on how do we support people that are coming in, or not support or not support, uh, depending on where you stand or who other people stand on this particular issue, on people who come into this country and are trying to provide for themselves. Maybe they came from different situations overseas, whether that be different war conflicts, safety issues, etc. And now they've got to come and move into to seek refuge. Um, but then you have individuals who didn't necessarily take the route of the process that the United States has provided for people to legally enter inside. For whatever reason, they didn't choose to do that, and it causes some conflict. And that's what you're seeing is the back and forth and people processing that. Now, I want to also dig into this situation. There's a conflict between uh, certain people in the community that are. We're just going to lay it out here in the most, I think, the most way that I can articulate it without disrespecting each community. I think what it is that there are different conflicts that between and divisiveness between certain groups of immigrants versus the Black community. And I'm not trying to say this in efforts to push it in any direction. What I think that we shouldn't do is be a diverse of community, or we shouldn't be a divided community of people, or a divided country for that matter. What I think we need to do is work on finding ways to work cohesively together and move this country forward. I think that that's the best decision to make. But what I am going to do is draw attention to certain things that have happened, that has harmed the Black community, that has to be healed. Not only were we oppressed systematically from the systems of historical issues, there are issues that are going on right now in the present day. And that's why there is this sort of adversity that certain people in the Black community feel when it comes to different folks who have come here from different countries and have not respected the space and the value and the worth of the Black community. And so they have also contributed to the setback of the Black community. And so what you're often seeing is when Blacks or the Black community have experienced certain things, certain individuals from these other communities have really not, they've become in certain capacities non variables in creating some setbacks for folks. Now, are there people that are in those communities that actually help the Black community? Absolutely, of course, we can talk about that too. But there are a lot of conflicts, especially on the West Coast, and that's what the tensions are, and that's what they may be experiencing. Now, does that happen all across the United States like that? No. Not all the time. It might not be in your community, but there are people that are like that. And so that's why you have this sort of back and forth thing. So I hope I articulate it in a way where it's not, um, uh, trying to stir up any kind of additional conflict or stirring up. But I think that that's where the issue lies. And now, if we look ahead, what do we need to do in order to fix those harms? Well, first, I think that that community does need to reach out to the Black community, absolutely, and ensure that they start changing their dynamics in the conversations that they have, and not be an additional part of the variable to create harm towards the Black community. And I hope that I articulate that well. Um, on the other hand, people who have been displaced, harmed in the immigrant community is so important, that, if you hear some stories of people being ripped outside of their homes, I think that's disheartening. I think that's sad, and you don't want to see that kind of behavior. I think we can handle different situations in a more a decent matter, in a decent way, without getting into these huge conflicts over it, where now properties, business, and companies are destroyed because of it, communities destroyed, people back and forth, causing a lot of conflict. I hope that we can come together as communities and move a country forward without that kind of thing. But here we are right now, where there are big groups, large groups of people who are marching, who are trying to proceed in a direction of trying to raise awareness on different issues and things of that nature. And so it's past the conversation point unless we decide to have the conversation and say, hold on, we're going to take a step back and really analyze this and really start thinking about how we're going to move forward as a country, and what can we do in order to be a better country. And that takes a lot. There's a lot of things that you're talking about right now, Dana, that I think is so important. And I hope that, and moving forward as a country, we can fix and right the wrongs of things that have happened in the past, but also look towards our future and have a better one.
Okay. Thanks for that. And so this title is actually kind of broad, and I may switch up the title because the focus is illegal immigrants, hence the word illegal, and the Black Boule that are championing, defending, and supporting them. And so they are against us, and us meaning everybody else who is not supporting illegals. And I think that's the missing element in these conversations when you watch and listen to the Roland Martins and Pastor Jamal Bryant and the Al Sharptons. They're I don't even think they're missing it. They're acting like it never existed, that last administration allowed 20 plus million illegals to come across in this country without even being vetted. So people are having this no King's Day fatigue, and not even understanding is these people who ICE is trying to get up out of here came here illegally. The past administration, if they would have vetted them, they would have had a database of all these people, especially the criminals, and you can round up the criminals and deport them because there's a whole lot of them. Crime has increased. And now it's a narrative of people going around saying, well, statistics shows that illegals that have been coming through this country is least likely to commit crimes. And that's just BS. Because how can you account for someone who is not a citizen, who is undocumented, who is not in our records? You can't account for them because you don't know where the hell they're at. It's as if they're a person here, but you don't have eyes on them to say how many people and who are criminals and who are not. But the fact is, under the Biden administration, in these metropolitan cities like New York, Chicago, even in Houston, they crime has increased. So, yeah, go ahead, Empress, and then we're gonna go to Linda, and I may switch up the title. Empress, are you there? You gotta unmute. And guys, please repost the space and bookmark it. Empress, okay, go ahead, Linda.
Thank you. This is an excellent conversation, and thank you, Dana, for offering this as a way to communicate. Um, I've joined your chats before. They are so informative. I really do think you need a national platform, but I appreciate what the dialogue here. Um, Black folks are tired. The people that I speak to and that I deal with, family, friends of multiple political persuasions, and in my family, they're tired of the illegal alien discussion. And they're really tired of moving forward and welcoming people who commit crimes by coming into our nation illegally. And while their desire to have a family and build this and do that is admirable, there is a front door that they did not go into. And while they did not go into it, communities of color are the number one groups to welcome, house, educate, provide health care and services for that drain the resources from Black folks who live here, who are US citizens, US born. And we do see many people, many Black leaders who parrot the leftist Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Democrat talking points of being empathetic and having compassion for the people who fled country. They don't have a clue who fled what their conditions were, what was going on. They have no clue. There was a report that came out from the New York Times, so it certainly wasn't a right-wing paper that said, I believe it's the New York Times that came out today that said um, the deportations has allowed for incomes to go up, especially in urban communities. We know there was not enough housing before the gates of our nation were open. But then my daughter, who works in HUD housing and Section 8 housing, said that majority of the people where she lives were illegals taking up housing. Vice President Harris indicated that she was going to build 4 million uh, more subsidized or affordable housing units, 4 million during her term as president, should she have won president. You let in 20 million people, building 4 million units is not going to suffice. And so I I was I'm dumbfounded at some who stay on the side of illegal immigration. Illegal. We have a front door. People have been knocking on it for centuries, and they've been allowed in, welcomed in, and those are the people, those legal immigrants, instead of illegal aliens. And I know that there is a term to redefine their name, to call them something different, to be more compatible, but they're illegal aliens. That is what President Obama called them back in 2008 and 2012 as president. That is what Hillary Clinton called them. They're illegals, aliens. And the deportation, unfortunately, was a promise that President Trump made, which is why, one of the reasons why he won. People don't have to like it. They don't have to approve of it. November 5th, 2024 has concluded. He is the president of the United States for the next 4 years. And he promised to deliver on deportation, which is why a majority of Black men had decided. Black men increased their votes in particular. Hispanics had increased their votes. Men and women increased their votes, in particular on an issue of deportation. People in Chicago have been screaming, Detroit, where I live in the Detroit area, have been screaming about what was going on and the services lost. Majority of the illegals were living in our shelters. Michigan, I don't know where everyone hails from, but Michigan gets to below zero temperatures in the wintertime. Those shelters that we have for residents and US citizens were full of illegals. And 2 children froze to death in a garage at a casino because they had no room. And that happened in Michigan this past winter. And I will tell you that there are stories like that all the time where Meals on Wheels services and benefits for folks who need them are not there because they are sharing with illegals. Thank you for the time.
Appreciate that and well said. Peter, are you there?
Hey, Daniel.
Yeah, honey, you were late.
Yeah,
Late.
I know. I apologize. I really liked what she just said. She hit every point that I was thinking, and yeah, I don't think anybody should be taking part in any of this nonsense, and they should be allowing, um, you know, the president to do what he needs to do to clear this debacle up. I don't think that anybody should be getting involved. These people don't belong here, and they need to get the hell out of here. So. That's my two
I
cents.
may have to switch up the title because the Black Civil War thing, the focus, honestly, because I think this conversation is because it really derived out of the illegal migrant situation. And the Black Civil War, I may have to revisit that, because the angle where I'm going with that is more so, some Black people do gotta go. They do, whether you Boule or not. But we have a problem with Black Boule. We do. And so I may have to just switch it up.
Wait, Dana, wait a minute. Which one's got to go? Which one's got to go? Tell us which
Well,
one's got to go.
we'll discuss that a little bit down the line, because
And what is the black boule? I don't know what
the
that
upper
is.
class is a lot of politicians, these pastors, people, Black people who are in certain positions of quote unquote power, influence. So you would definitely see them in some type of political office, but
So
they
is it
tap.
like a grifter class that doesn't actually
Oh,
help the group? It just helps themselves.
there you go. So she's talking about the ones that like they end up in the seat. Like for example, they'll run for office, they'll get the position,
No, that's not what I'm
but they
talking
don't.
about. Just me for a second.
Uh,
So the Black Boule, it is a history of the Boule, but the term Boule, I think it's like French for a high class. We always had a Boule class, but in terms of today in 2025, and I'm just making it plain, though they are the ones that only really look out for themselves, and they use Black people plight, suffering, history for their own personal gain, but they're the ones a lot of times that are in the rooms, in media, pushing a narrative and an agenda that benefits other people except for their own quote unquote people, but it benefits them personally. So it's just, the a class of influence. You never heard of the term boule?
No, I mean I know a boule it's like a French piece of bread, but I never heard it.
What?
it
No,
yeah,
it's you never
yeah, it
heard
is.
of the term boule, like as far as classism.
No,
No?
I've heard it. I heard it only in here on Twitter, and I never really dug into what it meant. And everyone's like, oh, it's the people who have their nose up in the air at everybody else.
Yeah,
So,
so
but
it's because it's like a boule society, like fraternities. 'Cause Mark Carter always talk about the divine eye. He can't stand them. It falls like those type of people. Um, you know, it's really annoying. But Pastor Jamal Bryant, Al Sharpton's, they're boule. And we already know what they're about. They ain't about shit.
okay, so it's like a class that represents that they're helping everyone, but they're just there to help themselves and line their pockets.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, and then when I say versus the streets, that's everybody else. I would say FBA, but some people say prefer Freeman. Some people prefer ADOS. Everybody else besides the Boule. And it's like there are a lot of Black people that are against Boule. However, why do we continue to allow these same people to be these talking figures in front of a camera for us? I don't think there's not enough pushback. And maybe that's because there are a lot of Black people who fall and believe in their bullshit, i.e., the illegals. So I may have to switch up this title to cater it around illegals and that fake ass Black Brown coalition, because Black Civil War, I think that's just a little bit too heavy tonight.
see,
Because we're not there yet.
so
Hold on for a second, Sherelle. I need to get to Henrietta and then text well, and I'll swing back. Go ahead, Henrietta.
Hi, good evening, Dana.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm good.
Good, good. Hi, Peter.
Hey, how are you? Happy Father's Day to anybody in your family who's a father.
You're my dad. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone out there in the space. Good to see you all. Um, I just wanted to just share that my mom came as a legal immigrant with her parents from Santiago de Cuba. And she was always very proud to become an American citizen. And this is a lot, way back when people from Cuba, she said they waited in a village in Santiago de Cuba, which is close to Guantanamo Bay. It's like the southern part of Cuba. And they had dirt floors, she said, and they made their own shoes. That's like kind of the story that we got about it. So she became a citizen, and I actually have her citizenship, and she had it framed, and she was very proud. And she raised us that um, you follow the laws of America, and she always despised. And I grew up in California, for people that maybe haven't heard that before, but she always was against illegal immigrants, and she said it was a slap in the face of America to America, and that's what I heard my whole life. So it's easy for me to not support this. I think it's just twisted. It's just a twisted ideation. It's a example of a degrading of of our society. It's clear what Judge Joe Brown talks about often. Title 8, Section 1324. It's very clear. Um, you come legally, aiding and abetting and harboring and all that stuff. It's all a crime, but these people don't get arrested, and they just keep doing it, and the government pays for it. And it's all very weird and confusing, but it's ingrained in me, and I am not supportive of any illegal immigration in any way, and nobody can brainwash me about it. So that's where I stand on it. I don't feel bad. I don't have any feeling about it at all, because I think it's wrong. I don't think that they're building homes here is appropriate. They're not building crap where they come from, and they don't know how to build anything. I don't know why they're building here. I don't think they should be building a home for anybody here. And I don't think that they're qualified. They're illegals. They don't even have a background check. They shouldn't be teaching our children. They shouldn't be with our children. They shouldn't be trusted with anything, in my opinion. They don't have a background check. They haven't been cleared. Y'all know I'm a nurse, and I go through all, I go through everything, the whole system for everything. That's how it is as an American. So these people could just run in here with no accountability, no background, make up a name, throw their whatever ID they picked up along the way in Mexico or something, because everybody has stricter guidelines than we do when they just run in here. And then they can reinvent themselves, which is easy to do. Any of us can reinvent ourselves over and over again. So they could come in here and name themselves anything. We don't know anything about these people, and yet they are given a lot more than citizens that we've screwed over in our country historically. And then they run in here, and after people have suffered, and they're like, okay, now it's us. And no, and then the people that they've trusted and voted for are saying, nah, we're just going to use you for a vote, and then just treat these people like we're supposed to be treating you. I mean, I don't get how this goes on, but I'm not one of the people that is perpetuating this farce on my fellow citizens in this country. Illegal immigration is wrong. Illegal immigration is a crime. They are criminals. The second they step a toe in here, they are criminals. And they're criminal every minute that they're here. So they're not a criminal once they commit more crimes. They're already a criminal. So that's just how I roll. That's just it. And I don't think they're qualified to be building a home, they should not be working in our hospitals. They shouldn't be doing any of that. Okay. Those standards should be reserved for American citizens that are accountable to the laws of this country, um, and everything else. So that's just where I'm at on that. And I love you so much, Dana. And thank you, Peter. And everybody here, I didn't mean to upset anybody. I tend to do that when I talk, so I'm sorry if I did. And that's it.
And
Thank
people
you. I'm
just need to
gonna.
learn to have thicker skin. Thank you. I appreciate that. Um,
Okay, dear.
you're welcome. Yeah. So you know what? I took Boule out. I don't want to. We could talk about the Black Boulets, the Pastor Bryants, and the fake Negroes that supporting the illegal migrants, and even the Latinos. Um, but I need to zone in more on the core of this conversation, and it is Latinos versus FBA reality, illegal immigration. That is a problem. We have a First of all, we have an immigration problem in our country. We've been having that for decades. No political party tried to fix it. The Democrats, Republicans, no one. So, and I don't know if this is the DACA anniversary, but Obama has been posting a lot about DACA. Even though when he first ran for president, that was one of the things he's saying, that we have a border crisis and Bush let in 5 million illegals. But then you have Joe Biden letting in over 20 million, and y'all don't have a problem with that. So the Black Boule for me, when I brought it in earlier, comes in when you do have the Jasmine Crockett's, the Al Sharptons, and all these other Black political figures and media figures, and just Black people, period, that are actually pro Latinos, pro illegal immigrations, anti ICE, the total opposite. That is not an FBA reality at all. And even if you are pro Latino, what does that have to do with you as a Black person? Nothing. Nothing. Because there's never been a such thing as a Black Brown coalition.
Yeah, Dana, somebody was saying the other day, I forget what space it was in, but that Obama removed, like, in the first 100 days, 1.7 million illegals. And the reason he was able to do it is he didn't have any of the pushback that we're seeing against Trump in the courts. And that Trump would be able to match that number, if not beat it, if we didn't have all this nonsense going on, which is just the Democrats like throwing a monkey wrench in all the works. So
Right.
hopefully we can prevail in the courts, in the next few months to be able to ramp up.
So I want to go to text, and I'll swing back to Sherelle. And anybody want a request to come up, please do so. And guys, please repost this and bookmark it. And shout out to everybody on YouTube. Please share on YouTube as well. Go ahead, text.
Thank you, Dana. Greetings to all. Full disclosure, I don't identify as FBA. I rock with the ADOS Foundation, which was the catalyst for the current push for reparations in this century and a transformative Black political agenda, teaching our people how to do pressure politics, not the regular politics well, I don't even call it politics. I don't think we've been doing politics for quite a while. But I was interested to know that even aside from this immigration thing, the people that are speaking out against immigration, I'm wondering like how many of these people will support an actual transformative agenda aimed at the descendants of American slavery, the original investors in the American experience, the unpaid forced labor investors in the American experiment, because in a couple of decades, we're facing economic collapse of 14 million Black families, which is devastating to our people, but it also has the potential to cause the entire economy to unravel at the seams. So I'm interested in how many people that are against immigration are also interested in a pro-Black agenda that not only saves Black America, but preserves the Republic.
That's a good question. And I do want someone to please answer it. Empress, are you there? You're muted, Empress. And I see your hand is up.
As a follow up to that text, well, what does
Okay,
that
there
look
it
like?
is. There, go ahead. I'm
All right, what,
sorry, I just
what was
got
you?
it on mute.
All right, what was you saying, Peter?
I was asking Texwell, what does that look like? That, to put together a coalition that actually serves Black interests and, the support, I guess, of the nuclear family. How does that, what do you think are the top three steps that need to be taken in order to institute that?
Great question, Peter. I think one of the first steps is that we disaggregate the data, that Black Americans need a set of data that speaks exactly to our positionality. And build on that. We also need reparations, which comes in different forms. Protected class status is one aspect of reparations, and of course, cash is also one that gets people up in arms. But actually, it's not like we're going to get a big lump sum. It's a multi-generational project. Reparations is much like wars. We have multi-generational wars now that we've been funding, and I don't see the return on that investment. But if we did invest in reparations, uh, what would happen when you have Black people who have been known for our creativity, our imagination, our ingenuity, and we'll be able to marry that with the ability to fund new businesses and create new inventions and cures and everything else. There will be an economic boom that makes the industrial revolution looks like kindergarten. It's good for the country.
Appreciate it.
Go ahead, Empress.
Good evening, everybody. Gorgeous Dana. Happy Father's Day to you people. Peter. I love Peter. You know why? Because I always think of Peter Cottontail. But that's just a good
Hopping down
sense
the
of
bunny
humor.
trail. That's right.
Hey, hippity hoppity hip. That's my favorite little story as a child.
Maybe the
I want to piggyback.
Playboy bunny
I
trail, right,
want to.
Peter?
That's right. My mom used to read me that the one where Mr. McGregor catches Peter in the garden and he almost hems him up with a garden tool, and he's lucky to get out, by the skin of his teeth. So I like that story.
Now, I want to cook up on something. Beautiful lady, much Detroit love for Miss Linda Lee. From one native Detroiter to another. I want to speak on some things she spoke about, and that's going on within Detroit and outside of Detroit in cities like Dearborn, cities even like Hamtramck, which is referred to Metro Detroiters. Many of the illegals have been here for 20 years, 30 years that I have personally met and have known. They've been getting benefits that should have been helping many of foundational Black Americans, yet was denied. Tatiana Williams had been asking Detroit City Council and the current mayor, Mike Dugan office, for help tremendously from September of 2024 through February 2025, and was denied or would be told while the shelters were full she could come if she was by herself, but her two younger children could not come. Now, she had made arrangements for the older two to stay with family where their houses were packed and full. Unfortunately, this young lady and her mom went through a horrific time of being homeless and constantly denied because the shelters was in fact full with enormous amount of illegal migration helping this lady. So when it hit national news that they froze to death, to kind of calm down the nation looking at the recordings, phone recordings of every day of her calling CAM, which is the hotline, the mayor's office, city council office. They had the Wayne County morgue to declare they just died of carbon monoxide poisoning from a car running to keep them warm, along with hypothermia. It was the response that I still get really heated at, they did nothing to help this woman. And only once the New York Times got involved did they finally, in the month of March and in April of this year, finally help her to get housing after public shaming because they knew that they were wrong. One of the first things that got to me is two parts. The mayor said if he could not find where she had been seeking help, they were going to put her in jail. Well, once she presented recordings showing her calling their offices multiple times and every name of the city council staff member, she knew them by first name and her family knew them by first name. And it recording showing of her asking for help, they hurried up and pushed that aside. Now, what I find bizarre, show you how God works in mysterious ways. This woman's children died like on a Monday or Tuesday. That next following week, pipes burst in Southwest Detroit on Beard Street. And it took up 3 blocks and it damaged many of the homes. Detroit City Councilwoman Gabriela Santiago Romero came out immediately saying she didn't want ICE to go to the Southwest area because it's full of illegal migrants. They were more concerned about protecting the illegal migrants and put these people up in high price hotels of the Western Hotel, which runs about 300 to 600 a night. So they put them up from like the tail end of February up until April 30th. And they're going to pay off all of their taxes for their houses that got damaged because the pipes burst underground that should have been repaired years ago because the pipes is over 100 years old. They did all of that. And then once the press drew attention on it, this is the only time they give an average house that they done took from someone else out of the land bank. This is when they donate this to Tatiana Williams and tells her to stay out the press and drawing attention because this is a mayor election this year in Detroit. And I can never get over the illegal migrants, how they go out their way to help you. If you're in Detroit and you're not the skin tone of myself, Dana, and what looks to be Mrs. Linda Lee, you are called all kind of compra-negros and other puntas in Spanish, but these are the same people now asking you, senoritas, can you stand with us? Can you stand with us? The answer is hell to the no. Keep that same racial tension that you had all in 2020, 2018, 2017, 2013, and 2012. Many of them will not even speak to you. They think they're better than you, yet they don't even have the education that you have. I've had conversations with different ones of them. The men is a little bit more approachable than many of the women. I've seen some of the women turning up their nose at foundational Black Americans, and I've told one of them, talk to me when your family, like mine's, when you come from a judge, when you can look at your third cousins as being international boxers, where arenas is named after any of your family members, like mine's have been, though they're all dead and gone. Let's be clear of that. Then they say, I don't have to do all of that. I run this town. See, only in Detroit is Southwest community, and it has nothing but a lot of Hispanics. Some of them were born here. legally in the 70s or in the 60s, but then they bring over their cousins in the last 8 to 10 years that's illegal. And it's a different atmosphere. They had, Miss Lee, if you're still here in Michigan, you seen Friday and Saturday a small handful of people in the federal building. And they were protesting that no one is illegal. The king needs. If you feel like waving your Mexican flag, rebuild your own land. A question I never get over. And Dana, you was a good, very good point uh, on the black fatigue. Where is that? Because this is
Your phone is
asked
going
the
in and out,
in the
Empress.
black.
Empress.
You're in the matrix, Emperor.
Okay. Can you hear me better now? Can you hear me better
Just a
now,
little
Jim?
bit.
It's in and out. It's still a little bit
No.
in and out.
Why don't you drop and we'll
Okay.
bring you
About
back up?
now.
Say something again. Okay, she dropped down and come back up.
I'll
Um,
bring it back up. Man.
okay. So I'll swing back. I'm gonna swing back to Sherelle real quick. Oh, there she go. Wait a minute. I want Empress.
I brought it
Oh,
back
you
up.
did? Okay. So Empress could finish up, then I'm gonna swing to Sherelle real quick, and then I'm gonna go to Lovely and Cultivate, and then I'm gonna swing back to Miss Linda. Is she connected or is she still saying connect? Okay, here we go. Go ahead, Empress. You go ahead and finish up. I don't know. It's still the same. You need to move somewhere else in your house. I think that's probably a dead spot in your house.
Maybe disconnect from your Wi-Fi and just use your mobile service. Try to see if that works.
Did you move someplace else?
She dropped now.
Oh, she did. Still showing speaker on my end. All right. Go ahead. What I say, Sherelle, and then I'm gonna go to Lovely Cultivate, then swing back to Miss Linda. Go ahead, Sherelle.
Yeah, so you can hear in some of the stories and some of the other women in this room right now, and it still sounds like there, the community is owed an apology, and that's gonna, and it's got to be more than just the apology, because there are and has been some harms done, that are just detrimental to the livelihoods of Black folks in the community, and it gets egregious. I don't want to go too much into detail about certain particular aspects, but there has been some real serious things that they've uh, done, and from different things here in this community, different robberies and such, and things of that nature, and different things that they're doing out here that have been very suspicious, and it shouldn't go it shouldn't go unlooked. It really does need to be addressed, and and you're not trying to look at it as a whole group and say, you know generalizing a whole type of group, because there are people here that come here and try to, start their lives up, and work and provide for their families just like anybody else. And so that's not the conversation, a divisive conversation that I want to have. But I do think that there needs to be some healing, and there has to be some adjustment, and the conversation has to be had where people are really diving in on this issue, and talking about the things that have caused harm, and systemically have caused some oppression there.
Okay. And I wanted to say this too. Why I see a lot of white people that know King's Day, and I guess that's supposed to be the anti-ICE. It's nothing. It's majority white, and of course Latino. But why are all these white people out there saying they're anti-ICE, to where you don't live near Latinos or Black people? You live amongst white people, and a lot of them are affluent liberals. They're the worst. So even you white people, it's fake, phony liars. It's like a, what do you call it? It's just a fake solidarity because you have nothing to do and your person didn't win the election.
It's virtue signaling, Dana. It's what it is. It's just straight virtue signaling. It's the
What's the
same thing they did during
signaling?
virtue signaling is basically where you do something performative to show solidarity with some type of cause. In this case, cause celebrity of like what's going on to rule the day. They did the same thing during the BLM riots. Most of those riots were actually caused by white people and Antifa and other communist Marxist individuals that had infiltrated the groups.
Right.
So this is just another aspect of that. This is just more virtue signaling. Same nonsense.
So I want to go to Lovely, then Cultivate, Linda, and then I see Michael. Go ahead, Lovely.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
We can hear
Okay.
you.
Hey to everybody. Happy Sunday. I'm gonna make it quick. Dana, the white people that you were talking about, those are anarchists, point blank period. They don't really conform to anything but chaos. And then I guess just in short, like listening to everybody and just kind of like doing my own little research. It's kind of like when Hispanics ask us to stand up for them, it's kind of like, why, if you don't see value in Black people as a collective, how can we help you? I guess that's what I want them to tell me. All right, that's it.
No, that's a great point. You don't look at us as valuable, especially, listen, the dark skinned people from their country. But then you want us to be in solidarity with you here. And then you have a lot of these so called Pan African, Black grassroots, Black Boule politicians supporting and vouching for them, knowing damn well that they are focused on their people and their people only. And it's always been that way. um Cultivate.
Hey y'all, good evening. Dana,
Hi.
Peter, happy Father's Day to dads and moms that are playing that part. Um anyhow, FBA reality versus Latinos. Shit. Look, I'm against illegal immigrants. For sure. I think they should be deported. It took me 5 years and quite a lot of money to come to this country. I didn't sneak in, if you know what I mean. I feel like back in the days they used to hand who they want to, to bring to America, and they don't do that anymore. Um, and I think they need to go back to that. But the illegals definitely must go. I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's a slap in the face for people who did come here the right way, and coming here the right way. It takes a very long time for you to become a citizen. Yes, and money, right? And our immigration system, is what has been disorganized for many, many years, decades at that. So, and so I don't understand that. Even I don't know. It's even people who immigrants who are citizens, they're hooping, hollering, and crying, and it's like, come on, really?
Yeah. Dana, we see it here in Jersey a lot. I mean, you look at Newark and all the leadership there. Ross Baraka, Representative McIver, who was, facing charges now for trying to storm the ICE facility with him. They both got arrested. She was actually being charged with using physical force against federal agents. I mean, I don't understand why, they're so ensconced or entrenched in this Democrat ideology. Like,
Right,
how
and
does
make
it
it so
help?
bad
How has it helped?
that Mayor Ross Baraka and all these other black politicians, when we talk about the Black Boule, they never protested the ICE detention on Delaney Street. And I've actually visited one of those detentions. I was in college, we was doing research or whatever. They never spoke about it, cared about it. They did. No, never protest none of that. So this is all for show, and they're puppets, and that's what I mean. To where Boule versus the Streets. That was the original title, because these people are grifting and benefiting off the backs of Black suffering and taking advantage of Black Americans. But for the life of me, I don't understand why Black people, you continue to vote the same type of people in office every time. Who was it? Linda and then Michael.
Thank-
Real quick, Dana, um, I mean, you heard what happened in Minnesota, right?
Oh, the politician I got
The two
shot?
people that got
Yeah.
killed because, yeah, because they were against the whole illegal immigrant situation. So now, if you push back, you get killed. You know. So what do you do? That was sad. That really
I
was
mean, did you see
awful.
the guy? It was pretty creepy. He showed up with like tactical
Yeah,
gear,
he's scary
yeah,
looking.
with the white
Yeah.
mask on, and like
Wait, did they find him, Peter?
I don't know. I didn't see an update. I know that. So
So
yeah,
this is the problem I have, right? How can you go on a shootout with cops but you got away? How?
yeah, I don't get that either.
Come on.
Supposedly he went to the second victim's house, right? Because they found a list. He had like 70 people he was going to go after, and he went to the second person's house, and they were able to like almost catch him there, and then he ran away, and they got away in the darkness. I didn't follow up. I'm going to check it out now while we're here and see what the update was.
All right. So, Linda.
Yeah, just a quick follow up. The Boule has run its course in America. They have um, decided that the civil rights movement required unity, and unity is what gets things done. If we unify and agree on things that make sense for our community, that nothing can stop us when we agree and when it is good and beneficial and it's articulated by people who care. The Boule has been living off of the civil rights movement in the 60s, and it has been perverted by those who have gotten rich off of their time and association with a movement that did work. And now the Boule took monolithic, becoming a monolith with unity. And that's not unity. Unity means that we can vote differently and agree on the issues that matter to us and to us as a group. If we have good information and we come together, we can do things that and agree on those things. But when we cannot even agree that illegal affect the Black community primarily, and we have the Boule who is saying that it doesn't, and carrying the water for those who seek to destroy our our ethnic group, our very lives, and who have neglected us for many, many decades now. That is where the problem has become. They want it to be us versus Latinos, but you have to add FBA reality versus Latinos and Black Boule. Because if they get one Black person to agree, they're going to put them on the front of, they're going to put them on Nancy Waters, Mary Waters, Auntie Mary Waters went to an immigration center looking and embarrassing. It should have been elder abuse. But they allowed her to go, not fully understanding what she was doing, and said, I want to use my congressional authority to come in. And they're lucky they just slammed the door in her face. But they have used and prostituted Black people and politicians to carry the water for a cause that does not help us. It's like we want to give you bullets and a loaded gun so that you can kill yourselves in the Black community. And they bring in things and people. They have, in my city,
They have in Michigan, excuse me, we have Section 8 housing and services and welfare services that have been going on for years. Many people know that you have to be a single mom or a single father in order to get these services. In order to get some of the services, you don't get them as a couple. But if you are illegal, you get family services and benefits. But people don't know that because they don't want to tell you that. That is what's happening. In Michigan and other states, the the housing assistance program or Section 8 housing has been shut off for any new applicants because they've given them to the illegals. There are two types in the program, one where you stay in Section 8 housing, and the other where you are allowed to take it across state lines or wherever to take your Section 8 approval and live any place that you want. And I promise you, in Michigan, the majority of the illegals were issued that form of voucher to go to the southern states where it's warmer. And while Black folks in the city are looking for housing, especially people who are coming out of prisons and needing some assistance, women and men coming out of prisons cannot get housings because they're no longer offering it, and they're blaming the Trump administration. And this whole No King's Day is to solicit an army of leftists, uh, communists, socialists that hate Black folks. It is not even it's not even a question that they hate Black folks. And I'm not one of those people who will say these people hate that people. I'm not. I really am not. But there's no other conclusion to come to when our children, especially Black children, are illiterate and they have welcome centers in the schools here. I don't know what about any other state, but in Michigan, in Lansing and Detroit and other Flint and other communities have welcome centers to help your children succeed, learn how to read English, write English. And our children are failing. 98% of Black children in Detroit cannot read at grade level, and 95% in Lansing, Michigan, the capital of Black children, cannot read at grade level. More than 50% of Detroiters are functionally illiterate, and yet they provide all forms of services called the welcoming centers and migrant rights centers, paid for by our tax dollars, for illegals to come in and get every service that you can imagine: interpreters, housing, education, healthcare services. And that is what's going on. And then you have the trusted messengers, as they were called during the COVID time by the Biden administration, to come out and peddle this mess to the Black community. And unfortunately, pastors have been duped, and other Black leaders have been duped to carry the water and this lie. And I'm sorry, that's why we are not unified behind it. Thank you.
Thank you. Michael, are you there, Michael?
Michael, you got to unmute. You're up. Big Mike, you're on.
Yeah, I would just like to say I agree with that last speaker was just talking about, especially when it comes to the Democratic Party and the socialist and communist Marxist ideology. And it's kind of funny too. It makes sense, right? It's really because, like, I think the Democrats, right, in this case, they don't look at any individual as an individual. They really look at that individual being a part of a collective, like a group, right? And it don't matter whether it be Black, LGBTQ, women, Hispanic. Every member of that group is expected to conform to the tenets of that party or really they're going to be punished, and they can't go around. Even if you have one thing or two things that you may not agree with, it's kind of funny how quick they are to just jump on you, even if it really doesn't affect them, but they just so ready to just go all at it for any of the Democratic, uh, you know, any side that they want to put out there. So I don't know. I just find I agree with that, and I appreciate you for letting me get a mic.
Thank you. Um, okay. Superman, you're a new speaker. And anybody else want to request to come up, please do so. And can you please repost and bookmark this space? And on YouTube, guys, please share on your social media
I'm
outlets
trying to
and
bring
like.
up Dana, the viral library as well. I'm having trouble. Maybe you could bring them up.
Oh, I thought they were up here.
It says requested on my UI, so
Um,
maybe it's wrong.
okay. Yeah, now it's saying error for a couple of people. What is going on?
Something's wrong.
Okay, Aaron is a speaker. Okay. Uh,
I'm bringing up Tupac now
all
as
right.
well.
Go ahead, Aaron.
I'll just say peace to the room. Just been listening in. FBA reality versus Latinos and Black Boule illegal immigration. Hashtag No Kings Day. I think this conversation has been waking up some things. I think really when you think about this topic of illegal immigration, what it is doing is exposing the state of Democrats and how contradictory some of the political positions of the left is in modern day. And I think it's kind of a contradiction that you are in support of illegal immigration and not in support of due process, but you're somehow against capitalist exploitation and corporations weaponizing illegal immigration. Like on one end, you got this side who is in support of this group of people coming into this country to be exploited. And then on the flip side, they play as if they're heroes to the cause of these individuals by I don't know, somehow acting like they're going against corporations when in reality they are actually empowering corporations to continue to depress minimum wage and kind of cut out American workers out of the equation, which when it comes down to voting time, that usually leads to some adverse effects. I also find it uh, kind of crazy and contradictory that Democrats like to act like they have this high moral compass, and even amongst the Black Boule, they have this high moral compass. Yet we live in America where across every single disparity, Black Americans are still number one. Yet they have found a way to not focus on resolving or fixing the issues that plague that community by somehow finding a scapegoat, such as illegal immigration, this go round. And so, for the Black folks that's in leadership, it's kind of exposing them, like you guys are saying. I think most of the community, whether they are educated or uneducated, live in the hood or live in the suburb, they are looking at this issue. Some people are just going to be followers, but there are some who were previous followers who are now like, yeah, this actually doesn't make sense. I think somebody was just talking about the state of affairs in Michigan, and across the board, the Black community in Michigan still has its problems, but they're watching how the legislature is willing to fight tooth and nail about this illegal immigration issue. So much so where they're going to put this at the front of the party's politics going forward, especially if it's to be anti-Trump. The last thing I'll land on, because I want to ramble, is the contradiction also behind like Democrats being in support of the police for the most part. They are in support of law enforcement and due process when it comes to situations where there may exist police brutality. Yet for this ICE situation, I guess they've somehow been able to go against law enforcement because in their minds, how they framed it is that ICE is associated with Trump, and so ICE bad, so we don't have to quote unquote follow due process. And I think you brought up the legal immigrants earlier. It's 50-50 with them. Half of them is like, hey, we went with the due process and so should these illegal immigrants. But it's the other half that is out there on the front lines fighting for illegal immigration. And I think what most people fail to realize is that undocumented immigrants doesn't just mean the people who came here across the border. It also includes the people who are in the United States whose visas have expired, who somehow got in through like a chain migration, and they no longer have legal status. Those people are also impacted. And so I think amongst the legal immigrants, you have them on the front line because they're seeking to protect family and friends, even though they went through the quote unquote legal process. All in all, I think we getting closer and closer to a clashing point where this country just cannot sustain unlimited illegal immigration. And if you're going to allow for the status quo to continue, where these folks continue to cross the border and ignore due process while at the same time receiving social services and benefits, we will see the day where the Democrats have to fold because they're going to be like, no, it's way too many people here. And as a result, they might have to reverse policy. So I'm going to land with that. I'm going to just continue to listen, but definitely here to listen to anybody else's thoughts on the topic.
Thank you, Aaron. Appreciate that. Real quick, thank you, Naeem. He put in the comment section the term boule, pronounced boule, has multiple meanings depending on context. Here are the main ones. Ancient Greek context. Boule was a council of citizens in ancient Greek city states, particularly Athens. Yes. And that's what I could not remember. And I think the boule, that was also a term during the Roman Empire as well. And he also put it was responsible for preparing legislation, supervising government officials, overseeing daily affairs of the state, composed of 500 citizens chosen by lot. It played a key role in early form of democracy. Modern African American context, Sigma Phi Phi. I don't know. The Boule often refers to the Sigma Phi Phi fraternity, the first African American Greek letter fraternity founded in 1904. They were the first. I thought it was the Alphas, but whatever. The Boule, the short for the Grand Boule, meaning advisory council or ruling body. Right. So I like to do it in terms of ruling over Black Americans. Conspiracy theories and critiques. All right, this is a lot. I ain't reading on that, but he put in the comment section. Actually, I'm a bookmark it because it's good stuff. And then Shepherd Wolf says, "Why do Americans need shelters in below zero in the first place?" Asked a real question. Well, why don't you come up and tell us? There are a lot of homeless people. Tupac, and then Rev. Oh, I see P Ray. Go ahead, Tupac.
Peace and love. What's up, Miss Dana?
How are
Um,
you?
Another day we here figuring this shit out. What the black man said, Earn, this shit is one big plan. It always been one big plan, and it's funny when I hear people say the immigrants is taking the jobs. Well, the jobs was sent overseas to China, and now through labor arbitrage, if they take losses, they put it on the American people. If they gain, they pocket that. Like it was done intentionally. This is all in the Illuminati papers. And we was talking about the Boule. If you go to the Washington Black American Museum, which they just built like 3 years ago, the whole third floor is dedicated to Freemasonry and Prince Hall and black colleges and how um, they groom the youngest and brightest minds of black Americans to groom them to be politicians and Boule so they never help their people, black faces in white places to keep the infrastructure in place. Um, I think, I guess we can call them immigrants or whatever. Like my mother said, that's showing us a blessing from God. That's showing us how we used to unite and be together. I mean, ICE is just the KKK for real, just another modernization of KKK and saying black people like get them. This shit is hilarious for real. Um, EBT and government funding programs is not by the government. JP Morgan controls EBT, WIC, all that. Like the government don't control that shit. So like they taking all our benefits and all that shit, bro. All this shit is it's like the ignorance is laughable as fuck at this point because the government don't control shit.
Please don't say the F word.
What? Oh, F?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But My mother said some real stuff the other day. She said if black and brown stop working in this country for 2 weeks, America is over. If black people stop working in this country for 2 weeks and we just request our reparations, it's over. They won't give us our reparations because they know we won't need them again and the system collapses. So if we stop working, the system collapses. So I'm just like, America is a burning building. This bitch is over with. It's done. Like the Pentagon missing $35 trillion last year. That's more than our fucking excuse me. That's more than our national debt. They just missing 35 trillion. This is every year. That's 180 K for all Americans. This is every year trillions of dollars is missing. Pentagon is missing, not including the money sent to Israel and Ukraine and all these other false flags. And I mean, yo, like, what are we working so hard for when you got other countries like China and shit building free energy technology? What labor? The AI about to take the jobs, right? And by 2030, we don't even see how advanced this AI is getting because we're not in touch with the tech or nothing. We just paying bills in survival mode. That shit, it's just, it's like watching a B-rated movie at this point, and you screaming at the screen at the people that you watching being taken control of and calling them dumb. You know what I'm saying? Like, these stupid people, yeah, they can't see this, and it's just so blatant. Like I said, man, we got everything that we need to be self-reliant and lead this system. And long as we distracted with, you know, blacks and Latinos and all this shit, and really it's been only blacks and Latinos been fighting against these white devils. The history of Mexico, they had two black and Mexican mixed presidents that pretty much saved their country. Um, Slaves used to run to Mexico for freedom because they would grant them that and protect them. You know what I'm saying? So we always been, you know, together. We are the warrior class of God's people. I mean, I know y'all done heard that before, but they doing a good job at keeping us distracted while they collapsing this motherfucking system. We not
Didn't
never
I
take.
ask you not to say the F
Oh,
word?
my bad, man. My bad. It's just the passion. But
The
yeah, that's
passion
just.
of what? A fake black and brown coalition?
No, I'm not saying fake and brown. I'm saying just if we just stop working, it don't got to be fake or whatever. It's just, what's the whole purpose at the end of the day? What is purpose for Black Americans to continue to work? And they telling you 2030, all your jobs gonna be gone to AI and robots. So I'm just trying to make sense of what's the whole purpose of working and moving into a digital system that's going to enslave you. Take the vaccine, or they're gonna, you know,
Well,
freeze
you
your
got to
money.
support your family, right? You got, I mean, ultimately, you want to make enough to be. I mean, the goal, if you think that, I don't think we're far off from that. I do agree with you on AI replacing a lot of jobs and a lot of tech. They're going to institute a UBI, right, universal basic income. But if you want to rise above that, you should try to capitalize on it now, these next 4 years, and then move off the grid to
Yep.
like a farm area,
Oh,
right?
you like 4 years later? I'm a farmer. I'm into industrial hemp. I've been growing hemp for the last 5-6 years now. Um, I hear you. I'm self-reliant. I grow my own shit. That's all mostly I post and talk about is self-reliance in black spaces. It seems like our people don't want to buy land. They don't want to be self-reliant for some reason. I hear you. Like I said, we can control one industry right now. Is the energy. You know what I'm saying? So America has to double its energy supplies to even dealing with AI. And China, like I said before, is using marijuana for batteries for the last 7 years. Hemp batteries, cannabis batteries. They had a facility in Wisconsin that they just shut down recently, where they making batteries from marijuana. It's about to be a $5 trillion a year industry, $5 trillion a year industry that we're totally ignoring. But we can pretty much, if we was conscious enough of what is really going on, we can probably corner and control a market that we can control and have some type of say so. But you know,
I definitely 1,000%, 1,000% agree with you. And I would say you kind of ahead of a lot of Americans by owning land, cultivating it, especially the hemp. Very knowledgeable, but I definitely agree with you. The last part, not so much on that Black Brown Coalition, but definitely that last part. Getting your shit together and doing what you got to do on corner in the market. Rev, then P Ray, then Independent, then JV, then AJ. Go ahead, Rev.
And guys, try to remember your orders so that you can just remember who you're speaking after. Thanks for the mic. To be honest, I didn't have my hand up. Full disclosure, I came in across this space and started listening in, tried to listen, but it was choppy. So I thought it might help out if I got the speaker, and it did. And it's been fascinating. I'm trying to get a gauge on where this subject is going, but so far I've heard a couple of things that I like, and one that I don't agree with a lot. But like you, I felt that the end was very interesting. If I'm not mistaken, there's other hands in front of me, so I appreciate the time. But if you don't mind, I'd rather be more informed on the subject and what's going on than just to start an opinion from scratch. But there's hands that have been waiting,
What
so
is it that
you can
you're
drop me down. I
confused? What is it
understand.
that you're confused about with the subject?
Well, FBA reality. I don't know exactly what the reality of FBA is. I'm trying to
Have
really
you ever heard of the
see what
term
that
FBA?
is. Yes, I'm familiar with some of the people that are both in the dais and on the listeners. That's why I kind
Okay.
of came across the space.
Yeah, and it says Latinos and Black Boule illegal immigration. So we're basically the underlying. We're talking about illegal immigration. I don't know if you ever heard of the Black Boule.
Yeah, and if I may just add to that, the whole thing too, and the reason why I wanted to listen in a little bit is because all of these definitions, there's been terms been brought up about migrants, legal or illegal immigration, refugees. All of these words now have become so undefined and thrown around as if they're replaceable, and they've lost their definite meaning. So I've been trying to get a gauge on what it is that we're doing because if I'm not mistaken, I forget the name of the speaker who started out when I came up, but he was talking about the impact of these people that are coming in, and fortunately, it's because the government is allowing it. And he brought up the situation of a lot of the issues that frustrate a lot of people, which is the fact that none of us want any of this shit, and it's the government that is perpetrating it and facilitating it and orchestrating it and basically forcing the people that are against it to finance it and tolerate it and shut up and accept it. So it's a fascinating subject. So I'm just trying to get a gauge to find out where we're going with it.
Okay, so just drop down and come back up when you want to speak again. I need to bring some people up. Go ahead, P Ray.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Hey.
Shout out, hey girl, hey. Shout out to Never That for inviting me to the space. This is very interesting because, like I say all the time, I'm Boule. I'm 100% Boule to the bone. My mama a Greek, my daddy a Greek, and I'm one too. And I can promise you, on all my AKA nail ya on the pearls. Ain't nobody sitting in chapter meeting plotting on Black America, okay? Nobody. You know what we're doing? We are planning events and fundraisers to get money to do programming and give scholarships. Nobody, like at least for the chapter that I'm in on the west side of Chicago, all of us live in the same neighborhood. I live on the west side of Chicago in the Austin community. There are three sorors on my block and a Zeta across the street. Okay, and I told them we need to have our own little panhandle meetings. I went to the ribbon cutting this weekend and met some Qs who just crossed. I told them make sure y'all join the West Side D9 group because the Austin community is the blackest, no, excuse me, the most Negro community in America with 85,000 of us in one neighborhood. I say all of that to say that nobody on our side is pushing for this Black and Brown coalition because we are the Black professional class. And we understand that not only are these jobs affecting low skilled workers, but they're affecting high skilled workers through H-1B visas. Now, me, I am a registered stockbroker. I was a registered stockbroker until I quit my job about a week or so ago, or a month ago, rather. So my job can only be worked by well vetted Americans who pass the test. So when I talk about immigration, it's not because you're take my job, you can take a job. However, the issue for us has always been an economic issue. People to the country, they are not paying taxes. They are not paying property taxes. They're getting set asides that are meant for Americans. For example, when I went to City Hall the first time and my comments went viral, I went up there to talk about how the fact that the city of Chicago gave the money that was literally meant for to build rehabs in an opioid settlement fund to the illegals. So now my neighbors are walking up and down the street traumatized and high out of their mind, and they need to go to rehab, and they've been paying property taxes all these years, contributing to the city, and now you've given the money meant to help them to people who don't deserve it. My property taxes are going up again. I got a building that my grandparents bought in the 70s, so me and my cousins live in it. Now everybody's expenses have to go up because the Chicago property taxes have gone up because we have been magnetized for illegal immigration. That is the issue. So I really want us to get rid of this bullshit jive, I didn't cuss, Dana, bull jive notion that the Black intellectual class is sitting up plotting on Black America as if we all don't live here together. I mean, at least where I live at, we all live here together. So when it rains, we all get wet. I think that I don't, like I said, I don't use the phrase FBA, I use Negro, and I can assure you that the Negroes know exactly what we need to do, regardless of what your socioeconomic class is, because all of us are affected in the same way by this. Now, we are dealing with Democrat shield bootlicks, and I don't think that it's fair that those people are automatically assigned to the Negro intellectual class because, again, I'm over here and I'm literally leading the fight on the other side. So please don't say it's the Boule or it's the Black Greeks or it's the intellectual class. Call them Democrat bootlicks because we have people who are also affiliated with those people who are not in the MPHC, who do not have college degrees. It's just a mentality. But I think the best way for us to deal with this, honestly, is just to move forward. Stop talking about these other people. I don't care. They're not going anywhere. I'm in the belly of the beast, destroying the blue wall as someone who grew up as a princess in the Cook County Democratic Party. I left the castle and went to go build my own kingdom. So you can't even imagine what I'm dealing with, as far socially, economically, all kind of things that I've just gone through in this 8-year span. But I'm just saying, please call me. Um, someone call me. Please grant people grace and please stop talking about people. And lastly, y'all, grant people grace. Calls that number is 86. I have an autistic friend who calls me all day. Um, make your phone calls 866 DHS2 ICE 866 663472423. See something and say something today. If you report a factory or a warehouse and ICE goes in and finds those people, you as the reporter get 10 to 30% of the fine. So you can make some money out the deal too. But please stop trying to make some type of classist divide amongst our people because we are all moving forward lockstep under the same flag with the same goals, and that is to make sure that we can retain the generational wealth that we have inherited and be able to hold on and pass on what we earn to our kids. Thank you for letting me speak, Dana.
Yeah, but I disagree with you, especially when it comes to the Black Boule, because the Al Sharptons, the Pastor Jamal Bryants, the Jasmine Crockett's, and a whole bunch of other, and the whole Congressional Black Caucus, which are affiliated with fraternity sororities, because I don't just single out fraternity and sororities. I'm talking about Black people in position of power, some type of power and influence, and they don't do shit for Black people. So Black Boule, wait,
My
let me
friend named Boule.
finish. Black Boule of today's time is not the Black Boule of the W.B. Du Bois. So they are the problem. We do have a class division amongst Black Americans. We do. You have the haves and the have nots. You have the ones that take advantage. They sit up here and they want to pump their fists, but they're out there protecting and supporting and marching and protesting for LGBTQ and illegal. So they don't do anything and have not done anything for Black Americans. Now, what you're doing, yeah, you're doing it. There are a lot of Black people who are doing things on a local level, as you should. But people who are sitting in Congress, even sitting in city halls, and even in your state governor's office, they ain't doing shit. they're actually doing the opposite, and they're hindering. When you are afraid to talk about reparations, but only when it suits you because you're not getting votes, that's a problem. So we do have a class division, particularly about Boule. Now that kind of was the original topic, but I said I'm going to revisit that Black Civil War, Boule versus the streets down the line, because I know the illegal immigration topic is trending really heavy. So let me just go to independent.
Dana, is Mark Lamont Hill considered Boule?
Um, it, yeah, to
But
a
Dana,
certain
there are
degree, he
people
is,
here in Chicago.
huh?
But there are people here in Chicago who are leaders here in Chicago who have high school diplomas and GEDs who are still pushing this. People who don't have and college credit to their name. This is why,
Yeah, but I'm
again,
not.
I say do
When
not
I say
push this
boule, that
to the
doesn't
black
mean that
intellectual
everyone
community.
has to have a college degree. Boule is also a mindset to where you're only looking out for yourself. You're only looking out for self. Mute up for a second, Pierre. It's a feedback. You're looking out only for
Oh,
self. You only you but you're pushing an agenda and supporting other people except for your own. You're not even representing your own because you're looking out for self. And to do that, you are helping others. So I don't care if you got, there's a lot of people with GEDs up in City Hall. There's a lot of educated people up in Congress that don't know shit. It's not so much education, it's about your deeds. I want to go. I need to swing to independent. Independent. Then I don't know if AJ is still up here, and then David. Hey, David. Go ahead. Independent.
Hello. Hello, Dana. Yeah,
Hi.
excuse me. I was just eating a sandwich, so um yeah, there is an issue. I'm not even really going to dig hard into the Boule discussion. There's no reason. The reason why is because you pretty much already got it. So, with what you just said. So I'm just gonna go on to the FBA reality. The FBA reality is that yes, it is an immigration problem in the United States of America. It has been for the last 3 years, 5 months, and even before that. But it got escalated the last 3 years and 5 months. I know on the ground what I was seeing. I do things where at least in Michigan, Southeast Michigan, and I'm in the community a lot. And I won't name the area, but I know I was seeing people with $5,000 gift cards that they can go out and go do, I guess, whatever. The Office of New Americans. That was a Michigan office to help people who line dance, flew over, or otherwise got bussed in to the state of Michigan to get homes, hotels, and other shelters while we have Black people homeless trying to figure out how they going to stay out of the cold. In Michigan, it gets really cold in the winter, really cold. And it was ridiculous, right? They were getting phones, they were getting cards that looked like you. When you get a passport, you get the passport, that's the booklet. Then you can also get the ID card. They were having cards that looked like that passport ID card for actual identification that was given by the federal government. Now, how can it be fair when you have Americans that are suffering? How can it be fair when we had these illegal individuals getting access to healthcare marketplace? I mean, they were, it's true, right? I mean, it's like, wait a minute. So now my tax dollars is going for you to get healthcare, but in the same aspect, you're not paying any tax dollars. Like, how does that work, right? They were also trying to give them access to Medicare. Wait. I have to pay forever. I'm talking. I have to pay forever, right, for an opportunity to even possibly get Medicare, depending on if I make it to the age of 65. They were handing them that, right? I mean, we had as Black Americans, and I don't call myself Negro, I call myself a Black American. As Black Americans, we were getting left behind, right? And then you had these people just being handed out everything on this. I mean, come on, that's not right. So that is why Donald Trump won the election. It's one of the main reasons why a lot of people either black Americans, black foundational black Americans, either sat on the couch, right? Or either they went to the polls. And when they went to the polls, they wasn't voting for Joe Biden or Kamala Harris. Okay. And that is just the reality. We have to, this problem has to be dealt with in whatever way that the Trump administration gets these people to go back to wherever they came from. So be it. There are legal immigrants here too. Legal as in the ways that you are legal. You can become a naturalized citizen. You can have a visa to work or go to school. You can have a temporary work card, right? In order to do work, right? Those people too were being harmed by the folks that's coming across the border, besides us as Black Americans, right? And it was ridiculous. And I can't see how anyone cannot see that issue for what it is. Now, I will say this, the Black political class, right? I'm talking about the Democrats. Some of them are Greek affiliated. Other ones are political affiliated. And I used to be a politician, so I get it, right? Yeah, they were sitting over there selling us out as well. They will continue to tap dance, jump on one leg, high five, and whatever else it is to keep their bag, right? Meanwhile, between time, they selling their fellow man or woman down the river. And that is a real reality as well. I saw it. I used to be a Democrat. I left that party in 2020 and have no plans on going back. And the sad aspect is, we as foundational Black Americans would think that those people would have our back, that would try and put things inside of our community in order to uplift our community, uplift our people, have people have a hand up, right? In order to move themselves up. Not if the, as I call it, the Caucasian Democrats tell them, oh no, we shall not help them. So what I need you to do is I need you to tap along with me and then just be a black face. And they do it every single time. I've seen it so many times. It's just ridiculous, right? So yes, there is an issue. And when I saw this No King's Day, I was like, Lord, please do not have a bunch of foundational Black Americans out there, right? You're gonna have the tap dancers. You always gonna have the Black tap dancers, the politicos, the ones that's literally looking for a squirrel in a nut, right? You're gonna have them all the time, but don't let us be out there, because you know what? We were getting set back 10, 20, maybe 25 years, and they knew it, right? They didn't care. It was all, I don't know. I mean, I'm trying not to get into conspiracy theories, but it's some reason, right, that they were doing this, right? And they have done this. And they pretty much double down, triple down, quadruple down, saying now, okay, yeah, not only do they come get everything else, but yeah, you gonna pay for the healthcare too. Like, there is, in my opinion, a financial motive about this, right? Somebody's getting paid from this happening. That is just my strong belief. And I'm not going to get into the rest of this conspiracy theories because I know this is not the topic of the show. But yes, there is some type of financial motive to what they're doing. It's not just about the votes. It's also about the money. And so for the Black folks, the ones that call themselves Black anyway, that are in the political, Greek class or whatever, that are going along to get along. I mean, honestly, they need to be called out. They need to be called out, and they need to be called out hard. Now, with that, I will wrap up and close with this, right? I don't care, honestly. I mean, I have degrees, I got them, but I don't care if a person doesn't have a degree. You know what I'm saying? Because you can do as much as you can do with your hands in a trade. You may only have associates, and you may not graduated from nobody's college and still be smarter than all the persons that got the book smarts. And I know that for a fact, and I got book smarts. So we need to stop trying to separate ourselves with, oh, well, it's the intellectual class. You know what? Everybody has a level of intellect. It's just a simple fact of how they use it. So with that, I will give up the mic. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let me just say this. A couple people have been saying this space has been glitching. I don't know why. No, it has nothing to do with the Persian Gulf, Peter. But I don't know if it's Latinos flagging it, or it could be that tether guy that got very nasty with me and called me very disrespectful names last time. He listens, so maybe they're trying to what do you call it, report the space. I don't know, but just bear with us. And I did not say happy Father's Day to all the fathers, so happy Father's Day. Go ahead, David. Hi.
You can hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you.
Appreciate it. So thank you for doing the show, Dana. I think it's a great topic. I want to more talk about the immigrations. I really don't have a lot to say about the Black Boule. So in my opinion, the issue, the protest, the whole yard, 9 yards, it's kind of been overstated. Because if you actually look at the ICE numbers, the numbers that Trump has actually deported, way less than Obama, way less than the targets that he said he was going to hit. And kind of based on the costs that they're spending to do deportations the way they're currently doing it, it's going to be difficult for them to maintain this over the next 4 years. So we just got to find out whether or not they can hit the numbers and hit the marks that they said they were going to hit that he ran on. We're really not on track to do the 1 million in 1 year. So I just think, Trump's really good at like splash type situations where things that kind of trend, they get a lot of media attention. The question is, can they sustain it? Because next week people may be talking about something different because it's no longer like the hot story. So just looking at the numbers from the ICE website, you can see actual numbers of deportations or what they call removals. They're really not on track for the 1 million. So I just think it was something that the media could kind of use to kind of poke at Trump, which is kind of like the thing that they want to do. But the numbers of deportations are way, way less than Obama. Obama was a prolific remover of people outside the United States, and he's still got a lot to do to catch up to Biden. So we need to wait back or kind of watch and see, is he going to deport the amount of people that he said he was going to deport over the next 4 years, not just do it because there's something to do in between now and trying to get that bill passed. And then once we kind of get to another topic, we will see the deportation start to fall off. And it's really, really easy to check if you just go to the ICE website. So appreciate that and giving me the opportunity to talk about it. Y'all stay easy, man. I'll talk to y'all later.
Thank you, David. And let me just insert this because you're absolutely right that it's he's not deporting at a scale that he would like, and it's mainly because the Democrats are pushing back, the courts are pushing back, and that's very much intentional, right? So they're throwing a lot of barriers in front of whether it's ICE, the protests, judges, Congress, everything, and it costs money. So the prior administration, they knew once we get all these people in here, we're going to make it hard for Trump to get them out, right? In which they are, and what's going to happen to those people that's here. So, and then Trump already is saying that he is going to sign an executive order kind of allowing the farmers and the people, the illegals who are the farmers and in the hospitality business to not be deported. So he's already kind of reeling back. And then on top of that, the Biden administration never kept a record of all the illegal criminals, the people that came here and committed crimes. They didn't keep a record of them because they would arrest them and then let them go. They didn't hold them, which would have been easier for ICE to come in and round those criminals up and deport them back. So it's a lot of barriers to where, and it's a lot of money, like you said, being spent. So thank you for inserting that. And I'm definitely going to start looking on the ICE website to get more, to stay on top of the data there. But yeah, it looks like he's not going to meet his mark. And it's like, are we going to waste a whole majority of the time on that, or the bills? It's just a lot going on. So yeah, anything else you want to say, David?
Yeah, so let me ask you a question real quick and follow what you're saying, because you brought up a really good point that I didn't want to throw in there because I don't want to be too long. Why do you think, even though he set these particular goals, we start talking about hospitality, we start talking about farming, and we understand how much of their workforce are undocumented people? I think the average person may not be aware because we're not undocumented, right? So we're not undocumented. We were born here. Our parents were born here, yada, yada, yada. There's whole business verticals in this particular country that serve people that don't have social security numbers. So we got to kind of ask ourselves, why do we think Trump at this point is saying, well, you know what, I'm gonna kind of lessen off because I don't want to remove labor from hospitality and from agriculture, if that's what he ran on. So
Right.
we just got to, kind of ask ourselves those questions.
Yeah, and I asked myself that question. I said because he is in bed and he does business with these corporations. He doesn't want to rock the boat with these corporations, which is the problem because you sit up here and ICE, round up these illegals and deport them, and they're going in businesses and taking illegals out, but they never penalize the business that are hiring them. So what Trump is essentially saying in that order, he's incentivizing corporations. So you are actually allowing corporations to continue to hire illegals, which is part of causing the problem of why they want to come and crash the border. So he's feeding. Can you mute up, Linda, please? He's feeding into the problem by he's not even slapping corporations on the wrist. Trump loves big business, and I think it has to do with because he actually marries these corporations and he doesn't want them to turn their back on him. It's what say you, David?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, he's very much married to big business, and he knows how the game is played. I don't ever believe that they will deport people to a certain level, because America, this whole country is built on cheap or free labor. It really feeds capitalism. You can't have a country where everybody's demanding $100,000 to work. Like, it doesn't work. Like, the numbers just don't work. So you got to have a segment of the population that are willing to work for little or no money, do very dangerous jobs, don't ask for benefits, and are willing to kind of live under the radar. Everybody understands that. That, to me, has a pragmatic view about how this country actually operates. I think other people don't really want to accept that view. So I just think people just got to figure out how to get in where they fit in. But this system needs cheap or free labor to keep the system going. It always has, it always will. And it's going to be like that till they come up with a different system. Appreciate the time, Dan. I don't want to hog up the mic. Y'all be easy.
Yeah, I always have David come up on my platform. I appreciate you, David. Um, and he knows a lot about the stock market, about finance, about business. So appreciate you, David. Um, yeah, I don't know. I just with the corporations, you're absolutely right. Free and cheap labor. And if you're not going to change the culture, we're always going to continue to have this problem. Um, Mark, I believe, yeah, Mark was next, and then Sim Breezy. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, so thanks for letting me up. Um,
And then I'll swing back to Linda. Go ahead.
yeah, so for us here in Chicago, Trump didn't have to deport a lot of them. A lot of them left. We talking out 2,000 and 3,000 of them that were in these factories. They left. They just disappeared, right? Then we have a lot of homes that we've been able to take control of, that these people were giving mortgages on. That's how we know they're gone, right? And so you have the deportation route, and then you have people volunteering to leave, because if y'all remember, an ultimatum was giving them an ultimatum, um, by saying that if you didn't leave, then if we have to come get you, then we sending you over to what was that new prison over in one of those countries? Y'all remember?
CCOT, Mark, in El Salvador.
El Salvador. So a ton of them just left. Now, either they went back to Mexico or they went back to Texas or whatever, but we don't have that large influx of them here. So you really can't count how many people have left, because there are a lot of them that just got up and left on their own. Second part, we have to be smart enough to benefit from this. And what do I mean by that? I want to thank Ms. Alice Johnson, whom we'll be meeting tomorrow, um, to make this next move, which is to take the formerly incarcerated community and veterans, put put it back into the workforce of America. So the lady is correct when she said that somebody's benefiting from this. It's always about the money. And so our move is to undermine what they're doing. We're not going to go along to get along. And that's what a lot of our people have done, not just now, but even back in the day. The mass incarceration plan didn't happen without the Black Boule. They made money off mass incarceration, no different than white America. And so our move now is to thrust the formerly incarcerated population back into the workforce. And that seemed to be a problem and has always been a problem to the Black Boule, who hates poor Black people. But we're going to return a favor because there ain't enough of them to handle the move that we're about to make. And it's sad that a lot of y'all as Black people saw what Joe Biden and Kamala was doing, and you still went along with it. And then had the nerve to try and shame the people to go along with that garbage. There's something seriously wrong with y'all. Y'all think women's rights and gay rights and all, y'all think that stuff is more important than the Black agenda? Y'all lost y'all mind. But again, I want to thank Ms. Johnson for this second chance movement that we're about to kick off across the country. And what they looked at, once we brought it to their attention, is the fact that we can vote as formerly incarcerated people all across the country, everywhere but 7 states. Look it up when you get a chance. And so on top of us becoming the contractors and workforce, we're going to also take our vote and support those that support us. The days of shaming our community into going along to get along for the benefit of the Boule, those days are over. That black and brown garbage, we don't care about no damn brown. We care about them about as much as they care about us. And we're not ashamed for what we're about to do. We don't want to hear nothing from no brown nobody. We don't want to hear nothing from Black Americans talking about that people of color garbage. So,
Mark, I'm
they,
interested to hear you. I haven't spoke to you in a while. What are your thoughts on what's going on in the Middle East right now?
Really?
well, it's clear that Netanyahu, who was about to be overthrown prior to October 7th. I don't know if y'all remember that, but the people of Israel were getting ready to overthrow him. And so what this guy did was kicked off a war, just like he just did this. He kicked off a war because he know his people rising up on him. And so that would then force Trump into this whole battle. And then that's gonna bring Russia and China. This thing is just gonna
Yeah,
spiral out of
no
control.
offense. I don't know why Peter asked you that because that's nowhere near the topic because we talked about that on Thursday and we could revisit that on Tuesday, Peter. So can we just stick to the topic because there are other speakers? No offense.
I'm sorry.
Not try to cut you off, Mark, but yeah, Peter, because you're paranoid, just stay paranoid in your corner. Just stop. Just stop. Stop. Um.
So let me end by saying this. See, they could issue the idle threat if we didn't have an alternative. But because we have an alternative, we're saying to the Trump administration, you can't get them out of here fast enough. And I know we pissing off the Latin community, which is what we mean to do. And we don't care about none of the Boule apologizing to them for what we're about to do. We don't give a damn about that. As a matter of fact, they can deport themselves along with them. You love them so much, when they leave, you should leave. You should be deported. You commit an act of treason going along with this. Oh, and when somebody mentioned the people who came here that have been in prison in those mental institutions. Please look up humanitarian parole if y'all haven't looked it up. Humanitarian parole is what Joe Biden was giving these people: automatic parole and a job for 18 months, and then they were given citizenship. Now, this started through the pandemic, but look it up: humanitarian parole. Now, I've been telling y'all about the Office of New Americans, Cities for Action, all these different bills. I've been talking about this for 6 years because they kicked it off out of Chicago. Barack Obama riding ass and Rahm Emanuel, Zionist racist ass, got together to pump these people into the country. So once again, they would never have to use black labor.
All right. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate you. I want to go to Linda, El Hotep, Superman, and the Black. Go ahead, Linda.
Yeah, mine was just in response to the the goal was getting the worst first. It was criminal illegals. If there were some who were just illegal with them, then they would go ahead and snatch them up as well. But the goal at first was the worst first. And then I posted an article in the chat that 1 million illegals have self-deported. They're doing some incentives. It costs money to deport those who've come here illegally. And with the amount of money that it takes to deport, it's cheaper to self-deport. So they're incentivizing the self-deportation. But at the end of the day, the the issues of and I'm not saying anything about the the Greeks and the Boule that is, they do charitable work and what have you, but there's a lot of issues going on in Chicago where homes are being taken, they are prioritized illegals there, and the Boule is silent when it comes to issues that matter. And the issues that matter to us, especially in the Black community, our children are illiterate. We do not have, and I don't disagree with, I don't believe in reparations, but because they will still steal from us. But there is a division where we are not supposed to be monolithic in everything. We can have differences of opinion and political ideologies can be different. But the things that we should agree on, we are being told on one end, especially the left, to disagree, to don't believe your lying eyes, and um, to divert your attention to things that don't matter. And we have to speak up, and we're going to be blasted for it. And there are people who are speaking up, who are catching grief for it, and who are trying to advance the people, our people. But when our people are not united on things that matter, like school choice, we can't get united on immigration because we're following the master or the cult, the leftist cult. We can agree that legal immigration is good and illegal immigration is bad. We should be able to agree on that. And because we don't see ourselves marching, we see ourselves looting, but we don't see ourselves marching and rioting in Los Angeles. But we see our people looting in the stores. And that is the unfortunate part. I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Um,
Hey, could I just give a quick?
a what?
Because I'm in Los Angeles right now. Black people ain't losing Los Angeles. Let you know, man. Because I'm out here in Los Angeles.
All right, I'm gonna come to you in a second. What you said, you wanted to say something to what she said, Mark?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Just make it quick. 'Cause I
Yeah.
need to go to El Hotep.
So Linda, they're not quiet. They're playing a direct role in this. Okay. You got to remember, Chicago is the headquarters for most of the national organizations. And what you'll find out is that most of the members, well, not most, a lot of the members of these national organizations are pro immigration, They go along with the Democrat Party. They get contracts and jobs for going along with this. So they're not silent. And what they didn't expect was for us in the former incarcerated community to rise up the way we're doing. So as a result of our involvement, we got almost 40% of the vote that went to Trump here. They trying to keep it quiet, but they're scrambling. They don't have no control over us. And that goes for these national organizations, the members that are playing a role in this, from Operation Push to the Nation of Islam, the Moorish Americans, the Hebrew Israelites, the AKAs. The AKAs are headquartered in Chicago. AKs and Deltas are the majority teachers that have been failing our people since Brown versus Board of Education. They've been snakes. And so the chicken's about to come home to roost fucking with us, though, messing with us. So we don't care about none of that stuff, man. And because we are the third grade, the children third grade test scores that built the prison system. And like I say, the chicken's about to come home to roost.
Thank
And we don't
you.
have to rate that.
Yeah. All right. El Hotep.
Hey Dana, what's up, Peter? I'm gonna be real
Hey, how are
quick.
you?
And I'm gonna just give you my
What's up,
point
man?
of view on the topic. What's up, Pete? On the topic, just being from California, living in Los Angeles all my life, and the black, he could probably give some insight of what I'm gonna say. There definitely isn't a black brown coalition from my point of view, from what I've seen, but I will say there's a love-hate relationship. Um, so that's probably why you will see a lot of this black brown coalition talk. Um, I think if we're gonna have that honest conversation, it's gonna take all night because it's very kind of it's complicated. It's a very complicated conversation, but I don't think there is a necessarily a black brown coalition. Um, I definitely do though. I definitely think it's a love hate relationship. I do want to hear what the black is going to say because he's a Los Angeles native too. So but yeah, that's all I wanted to say. I,
That's it. All right.
so
So happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there, first and most part. I'm from originally from Tulsa, Oklahoma, but I was born and raised between Oklahoma and California, especially Southern California and Los Angeles, though. So, like El Hotep said, there is no black and brown coalition that don't exist though since the '90s. These Hispanics though, they've been having ethnic cleansing campaigns against black people though, firebombing black people and throwing Molotov cocktail bombs, something like the white folks used to do to us back in the Jim Crow era. That's type of thing that was going on in the '90s, even all the way to the early 2010s, though, too, all the way to like 2015. Now, the D9, the Boule class, though, they refused to address these issues, problems, though, because of silent and stuff. A brother named, I forgot the brother's name, though, will come to me, though, I think Terry Anderson or something like that in the 1990s. He actually won Maxine Waters and Karen Bass and a lot of city officials during that time that these illegals they going to end up replacing black Americans after the '92 riots. You start seeing a massive influx of illegals after they made California a sanctuary state. That's when they start flooding all these illegals to our community. You got majority black communities that was majority black, and also that's majority Mexican, Hispanic. Now we had 28 majority black communities, and you got the D9 Boule class, which was part of which was what was his name? I forgot his name was Mark Willie Thompson. He was a mayor one in the '80s, along with Kevin DeLeon while he was senator. They was King Arthur. There was King. There was one of the main people basically to push black people in Los Angeles. So from 28 to 30 majority black communities, only about 6 to 8 majority black communities is left in Los Angeles. Throwing Marquise Herrera Dawson, Mark Lee Thompson, Karen Bass, and Mike C. Waters was the main infamous people that was doing that shit though. So, and also when Arnold Schwarzenegger, while he was governor of California though, he was working with the Boule class, the D9, in the both the Democrat and Republican Party. But you got a lot of D9 Boule people in the Democrat and Republican parties. Just let people know though, because you got both the D9, like Mark Carter mentioned this, which is absolutely right though. We gotta start getting at the D9 people. It's on the Republican Party too, because they're not only the Democrat Party, they're in the Democrat and Republican Party. Some of them
flock over to the independent party and third party as well though. But yeah, and also is that I'm gonna mention about the looting situation that Miss Linda Lee said. Black people not out here looting no, because I'm out here in LA, Los Angeles though. So in Compton, those are mostly Latinos. They have a mask on. Those are mostly Mexicans, Latinos. Though I don't see none of our people out there looting in the stores in downtown. These are all Mexicans, Latinos that are doing that though. So yeah, so ma'am, I appreciate spreading on misinformation though, man, because that's actually dangerous though. Because I'm out here though, our people is not out here looting. Majority of our black people in Los Angeles saying we not with that, we not supporting that though. And actually, I was on the front line filming some of the things that was going on. That's mostly all Latinos or mostly all Tethers though that was out there. It wasn't no Black Americans that was out there protesting though. So also is that in Chicago. You got all the national organization out there, Chicago out here. You got a lot of the headquarters out here too, which is the you got the Brotherhood Crusade out here. You got the NAACP chapel out here, and also is that when Kamala Harris ass came had her campaign in the community right in the middle of our community. We weren't asked about the community though. Same thing. All the LA protests started jumping off because for you understand that though, Kamala Harris had her little rally. I'm gonna post this in Jumbotron as well. But Kamala Harris had a little rally though. All the Boule, you got Angela White, Taylor Haitian Ash that was there. She was trying to get black people to support the immigration shit. And after a few days later, the next day, that's when the immigration ICE stuff started jumping off. Right before I'm gonna put the Jumbotron right now so y'all can see what happened though. I was gonna confront Kamala Harris though, but her ass chuckling and asked her to go off the stage before I was gonna confront her ass though. She left. Man, but the Democratic Shields, they desperate right now because they know they don't have our support. I have the feeling that the Democrats, they're going to lose in 2028. And these Democratic Shields, I was arguing with, though the community came out, is that if Kamala Harris should have won, she'd have bought another 20, 30 more million illegals in this country. And Miss Lynn, I know you say you don't agree with reparations, though. Can you elaborate the reason why you don't support reparations, though? For black people, you already know that majority of black people in this country, over 77% of our people support reparations for our people. Though, if you technically, if you are a politician, somebody went for office, though, if you not agree with reparations, most likely you ain't gonna get the black vote, getting no black support like that if you don't support reparations. Though, just like they don't have no problem supporting Jewish people and the Native American communities and Japanese people got their reparations. Though, so I don't know. Same thing about that like that. I forgot the person I'm trying to run for Senate out there, not Senate, but Congress out there in Texas. He said he didn't support reparation. He immediately lost the black vote, black support though. So to y'all black Republicans though, is I don't got no problem with black Republicans. I'm politically independent. I'm for wherever political party supports the black agenda. I don't care if they Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, Green Party, or Independent. But to y'all Democrat, Republicans, any political parties out there, if you support reparations, you ain't gonna get the black vote with black support. Just to let you know though. But that's all I gotta say though, man. But El Hotep is right though, because you got these Latinos also on the job sites. These Latinos be racially discriminated against black people when it comes to workforce. Back in 2017 and 18, we had a whole initiative when we were telling these businesses up and down our community for not hiring no black people. And we were telling these construction sites, you were shutting these construction sites down, and they was hiring a whole lot of black people though. And then you had Marcus Harris Dawson, Karen Bass ass set up the LA Civil Rights Commission. And then what we were supposed to do is that they were supposed to fine each of these Latino businesses $75,000 for not hiring no black people in these construction sites and these businesses, these fast food places. You had the D9 Boule class. They took over the LSU Rights Commission and they started working with the Latinos though. So we shut their ass down a few days ago. Talk about the black community staying with the immigrant community in Los Angeles, and we shut that shit down. We took about 20 to 30 people of us from the community. We shut the whole shit down. They have to leave the press conference early. And also, they might try to come out here Juneteenth with that bullshit. We're gonna shut that down. Like Isaac Bryan, he was out there as protest for the illegal immigrants at the Ike Detention Center out here downtown Los Angeles. Though we already let them know if any of these California State Black Caucus members or any city officials are coming with that bullshit, and we see them in the community, we gonna run their ass out on Juneteenth on Thursday though. And I'm glad, I'm so proud of our brothers and sisters out there. Shout out to Flip Chicago, Chicago Red, for running that pastor out there in Chicago when that journalist talk about black jobs and talk about legal taking black jobs from black people and they ignore them though. So we're not playing with these illegals no more. But I'm allow other people to speak though, because I go on what happened out here in Los Angeles. So I've been out here since day one to the protests were going on though. So any questions though, I could answer people though if they want to ask any questions.
Well, We're gonna start winding it down. So if anybody want to request to come up, do so now. So I'm gonna get to the Negro. I'm gonna swing back to Independent and El Hotep. And let me just say this: I understand that everybody, black people, we are not a monolith, but every black politician in Congress do not fight, push, or even want reparations for Black Americans, and they're too scared to even push for it. They only say it to get sympathy and support from Black Americans.
Yeah, it's both.
How,
It's both on the Democrat and Republican Party.
but there's really no Black people in the Republican Party and in Congress that much anyway. But Latinos, no matter what political party, they are shouting reparations, restitutions, all types of everything for their people, no matter what party. And I'm not saying that just because I'm against illegal immigration, that doesn't mean that I don't have respect for Latinos, because I do. You have to respect a group of people that works together, organize together, fight for what's fight for their people, fight for their rights, whether it's on this land, I guess you could say on their land as well, but the cartels rule everything. But when they come here, just like any other immigrants, they stick together and they look out for each other and they put their people in office. And those people that they put in office, they actually say no reparations for you, but reparations for us. It's always about them. They always put themselves first. And the only thing I'm saying when it comes to Black people, i.e., Black Boule, who are in these political spaces and office and positions, they make it about everybody else except Black. And that's a problem. Um, so I'm gonna go to the Negro, Independent, and El Hotep. And if nobody requests, then we're just gonna close out. And Peter, get to say your last remarks. Go ahead, the Negro.
Um, Good job, Dana, for holding the space. I think that this is something that needs to be talked about. They always talk about black on black crime, right? The true definition that should be used is what they call intra-ethnic racial discrimination, which means that these are people that are inside our lineage or racial background, and they're acting in a discriminatory fashion against our people that's violating our rights, such as human rights, such as civil rights, and other forms of discrimination, which has been expressed by these type of Boule immigrants. I have the definitions, and you can actually look up the term that is actually used in academia will be interracial, but I add ethnic because my goal is to, when they talk about black on black criminality, other immigrants and other ethnic groups are allowed to hide this underneath this criminality and dump their deeds into the Black American or Negro Americans criminality type of pool, so they don't delineate. And we're catching the bag on all these type of criminality, when this criminality is most of the time is geared towards us as a people and as a lineage. If you look at the purple pill, I actually put that down and define it, because these are terms and concepts that are out there, but they're not really mainstream or widely known because it's normally tossed around in academia. But we should be delineating when it comes to black on black criminality, defining who are the people that are discriminating against us from the threat from within. Because there are what they call intergroup conflicts or intergroup discrimination that is based on race, that's based on ethnicity, colorism. That's how you get those type of situations that get transpired in our community. The reason why I'm using this in regards to the Boule, which fits into the title, is because they're practicing what I consider a preferential treatment or a discrimination towards the rest of the Black American community due to the fact that we do not have a Greek letter affiliation. And they have been doing this in academia. They have been, now it's spreading to other facets or the other 9 areas of human interactions. If you study the books of like Dr. Lee Fuller, et cetera, right? So this criminality is very, very pervasive, and it's allowed and encouraged underneath the system of white supremacy due to the fact that like you're quote unquote hurting your own, and they can like get away with it, and then they get rewarded for this behavior. As you can see, like the Boule's getting those butter biscuits. So this stuff is very, very dangerous, and it's hurting us from the inside out. This is your form of quote unquote black supremacy that is supported and propped up by white supremacy. So those are just some of the things that I just wanted to highlight based off of what I was hearing, based off of some of the things I researched, and some of the things I know and actually have scholarship to support the framework of what I'm talking about. So FBA reality, the reality is that we are being discriminated by our own people. We are being undermined by our own people. And I'll even go one step further. With these Latinos, they practice what they call institutional and structural racism when they prop up and use their language as a means to weaponize for a job description when other people are clearly qualified for the job, but they use their language as in a manner to undermine, to stop employment in our community. And this is the stuff that is so dangerous that it is criminal, and it should be looked as a criminal, and they should be sued for these type of things from my perspective. So yeah, the Boule is out here caping for everybody, but not our own human rights. And they're violating our human rights at the end of the day. Like, these people need to be locked up in jail and in a paddy wagon for the things. Like, they criminalizing homeless, for crying out loud. Like, these are beyond that the World Health Organizations and different things will call out as human rights violations that that people just we turn a blind eye to because it's just some Negroes. That's what they say. It's just some black folks. Who cares? And the sad thing is, this is our own people that think like this. But this is another reason why we need reparations, so we could defend ourselves against these type of individuals who are anti-black, anti-Negro, and I'll even go one step further that they're anti-American. Salute to you on this space, and I hope that these people, these evil devils, are put in the paddy wagon that they deserve in, and I hope that they get placed in a cell. And I'll leave it there. Have a great one.
Appreciate you. Thank you. Independent, then Al Hotep.
I just wanted to follow up a little bit on what the Black was saying, because even though I don't live in SoCal now, I did used to live in SoCal for more than a year, and was back regularly from probably the early 1980s until 2017. And I think I said this in another space, and so I do believe the Black is right. There was a migration, and it was forced, of Black people out of Compton, Watts, Inglewood, those areas, for sure, right? I would also say Fontana as well, because some Black people who left Compton went to Fontana, right? They went there in the mid to give or take early 1990s. And I know this for a fact because this happened to my sister. When she moved to Fontana, the street was mostly white with some Latinos and a couple Black people. Come back 5 years later, that street was completely Latino with her. And she had to get out because you know what? That wasn't gonna go with the Latinos on the street. I mean, so when I hear that it was Black people that was doing the rioting, doing the looting in downtown LA and the areas of surrounding downtown LA, I know it's impossible to believe, and the reason why is because a lot of those Black people have been moved out of those areas, right? The ones that used to run and control Compton, Inglewood, Watts. No, them areas are not mostly Black. They're mostly Latino now, right? And so those are facts. And I just wanted to make sure I came up and quantify what the Black has said.
And also independent though. And you're right though too, because we only got about 6 to 8 majority black areas that's left. Los Angeles, the Crenshaw district. We got Baldwin Hills, Ladera Heights, Viewport Windsor Hills. We got Lamar Parker. That's one of the last black strongholds we got left in Los Angeles. So Compton, south of Compton, Watts, that's majority Mexican. That's like 10-1 now. And Inglewood, half of Inglewood is still black though. You still got a large black population in Inglewood. It's like half out there. But a lot of black people, they still try to push black people. The Latinos, like Mayor of Inglewood, Mayor Butts, he sought out black people in Los Angeles too, though. And Karen Bass, not Karen Bass, but Maxine Waters, that's part of her district too. Inglewood is part of her district too. She refused to do anything when it comes to that SoFi Stadium, the Rand Stadium. A lot of black people got pushed out. We've got that sellout, D9 Boule, mayor out there in Inglewood that's trying to push all the black people up out of Inglewood. Because Inglewood, I think, about 35, 36% black. You still got large black population out there in Inglewood, and you got that D9 Boule mayor out there, Mayor Bus in Inglewood. And most of the people that's in the city council out there in Inglewood are mostly all D9 Boule. They trying to push all black people out there though, but I'm kind of glad, even though I'm not no Democrat Republican, I'm kind of glad Trump won to a certain extent though, because if Kamala would got in, it would have been all bad for black people in California, especially all throughout the whole country though. She would have flooded another 20, 30 million illegals, then she would have given them amnesty and made them world legal citizens in this country though. So I'm kind of glad she would get back in there. But yeah, but independent sense, that's true though. But yeah, we've been pushed out because the sanctuary state shit that have been going on since the 90s though, and the D9 Boule class and Karen Bass and Maxine Waters, the California State Black Caucus, there's very intimate keen push black people body too. Same thing with Mark Louis Thompson and Kevin DeLeon and all them other people though. There was the main people pushing that sanctuary state shit. Kevin DeLeon, while he was senator in California, he was one of the main ones to push that SB 50. I think that SB 54 stuff, that sanctuary state policy though. And he had the D9 Boule class though, along with Mark Louis Thompson while he was senator though. So he was the main people that was trying to push black people body. The same thing was going on in Illinois though.
All right. El Hotep, the Negro, and that's going to be it because I need to prepare for the week. Go ahead, El
Um,
Hotep.
Peter and Dana, y'all have a good one. Black, you was absolutely right because everything Independent said before you were speaking was just on point. But I'm gonna give you something to think about. You talked about Baldwin Hills or Baldwin Park, my bad, and Inglewood. They finna shut all that shit down, flip and remix that. They finna push people up north to Palmdale and Lancaster. Because if you think about it, everything in downtown now, they about to either gentrify or they finna change it to where they get a lot of the white people that live in the suburbs downtown. Because if you think about, they got the SoFi Stadium there and changed Staples. They put the crypto arena. They done got that down and popping. They want to make the 15-minute city. So you had the Pacific Palisades area burned down. Besides the rent factor, rent is so damn high in Los Angeles that last time I was in California in July. So I seen more homeless black people there than shit. My 32 years living in California. So it's crazy that Independent, when you said what you were saying, and Black, when you jumped in, they're definitely changing downtown Los Angeles to where
And
black people that was there, they ain't gonna have
and
no choice either but to leave Los Angeles or just to leave the state altogether.
El Hotep though. So what's going on right now because all the ICE raids happening in construction sites now. A lot of these illegal immigrants are scared to show up to work though. So a lot of these construction projects has been on hold, put on hold at least for the next 4 years though. So a lot of the gentrification projects have stopped though. So that's giving us a next 4 years to push and get a lot of these people up out the country, especially out of Los Angeles stuff for the next 4 years or so because actually I'm not no Democrat Republican though, but Trump's actually doing us a favor by putting tariffs on lumber and actually going doing these ice raids and these construction sites. So that's actually saving us another 4 years to basically fight back and get much of these illegals up out of here, so we can push it back, which we're doing now. Because I'm kind of glad he doing these deportation raids all throughout the construction sites out here in Los Angeles and to tear them stuff because a lot of these private investors though they don't got enough money to bring all the labor from Canada, the lumber from Canada, and all the materials from Canada to bring it over here and start the construction project because to start a construction project is very expensive right now. because all them tariffs that Trump put on Canada and most other countries around the world, and all the deportation going on. So they talk about holding the projects for the next 4 years though, because all the tariffs and all deportation going on. So that's a
Well,
good thing though.
let me interject something real quick. So I definitely I need to hurry up in this space. They got in LA. They got to figure something out because the FIFA World Cup is coming next year. So they got to figure shit out. And I'm pretty sure that's why he's issuing that executive order with the hospitality and the farming. But he may extend it to construction sites because shit need to be built up. However, let me go to the Negro and then I'm just going to close out because I
No,
have.
and also, and one more thing, Dana, I'm gonna say this one last thing. See, even though Trump do that though about allowing these Negroes to do that stuff, it's gonna backfire because a lot of countries talk about boycotting the U.S. stuff because it's immigration policy. So you got a lot of countries talk about if they have the World Cup in Los Angeles, a lot of countries in Latin America and the Middle East ain't gonna support the World Cup in America. They not even gonna step foot in, so they actually losing money in the World Cup though. So they think about canceling the World Cup in Los Angeles happening in Canada and Mexico this year. They talking about relocating it to the World Cup.
I don't think that'll happen because I don't know. I don't know. Well, that's another topic, but it's a good observation. The Negro, and that's it. Go ahead, the Negro.
Yeah, I want to say thank you for allowing me to speak. I talk about some of these preferential treatments and discrimination by the Boule in my book Delineationology. I call it preferential redlining of Negroes based upon like Greek affiliation, based off of D9, based off of Masons, etc. And I more or less talk about it from an academic standpoint. What I mean is like through education, how Boule will uplift. How can I say, they'll uplift English as a second language type of programs over programs of students for teaching our children how to read properly, like hooked on phonics and stuff like that. They'll back ESL programs at the expense of programs for people that are native born, as in people who are lived, born, and have multiple generations here in the United States. These various different human rights violations that tie into reading literacy, it ties into also discrimination in regards to anti-literacy policies. These are just some of the examples that I go into excruciating details, even down to them manipulating scholarships that are like Dr. Martin Luther King. Those are ethnic, racial by nature due to the fact of the people who are involved in that type of situation. They make it to like an all lives matter type of situation. And that's the dangerous part of it. Like it was not their people who fought for these things, Latino people or white people or etc. etc. It was specifically Negro Black American people who went through this specific experience. So when they open up these awards and open up these scholarships, their true intention is to replace Negro Black American people. And I'll even go one step further. When I went to my graduation, that I had for my master's, I only saw two Black American people at one of this elite college that I was going to. The rest of them were foreign born. I would say up to 70, 80, or maybe even 90% had a foreign flag on their rocker. That means they had a foreign flag of a whole nother country around their neck. They were not even representing America. They were representing a whole nother nation. This is the reason why Trump was putting the boot in the neck to
Wait, so what is
Harvard.
wrong with them representing another nation if that's like their lineage?
Great question. When people are graduating, crossing the stage, I look at it as a form of war, right? They're representing the nation and the people who they're going to defend with their education.
What's wrong with
That's where
that?
it becomes. What's wrong with that is the expense and how they obtain those things. They obtain those things underneath the guise of blackness. They obtain that by cosplaying and what I call melanin material misrepresenting on government documentation saying that they're Black American. And they're not. And they're taking up
Oh, you're
seats and they're
talking about
taking up.
Black immigrants.
I'm talking about Black immigrants, melanin, anybody who has a melanin tint. They could be
Yeah, but is
tan.
this a black
uh,
school?
No, this is a WPI. Great question. This is a WPI. My
So
school
then
is kind
how are
of
they? So then how does the black thing come into play?
great question, and I'll address that too. What's going on is that our people has historically have been discriminated from these institutions. and they are taking the spots and the seats from the people who have historical grievances with these type of institutions. This is the reason why the case for reparations across the board is very, very important for our survival, not just in a criminal sense, but in an educational sense, a medical sense, etc., etc. So when they're out here saying that they're black or that they should have the same rights underneath the 14th Amendment as Negroes, this is their argument to take unearned spots, to take unearned benefits from our community. And the dangers of that is that they're taking these institutions produce political leaders. They produce people that are in these the alphabet, such as the FBI, CIA, all those type of lettered or quote unquote lettered organizations, where if we don't have any present in these institutions, that means we're on the menu. That means they're going to be targeting us. It doesn't matter if you're a part of those institutions or not, because they having the connection, they have the pipeline over the Negro Black American people. This is the same thing with Harvard and Yale. They're taking spots
All right, I
for
need you to
us to be in
land,
the future. Yep.
land.
Yeah. They're taking the future spots from us, so we will never be the future leaders of this nation called America. And that's the most dangerous thing on the planet, where we're getting gentrified, not just physically, but also in all areas of human interaction. So yeah, get my book Delineationology. I go into detail about this stuff. And salute to you, and thank you for allowing me to speak.
Hey, thank you, Domingo. Appreciate you. All right, Peter. I'm tired. Thank you. First of all, let me say this. Thank you to all the speakers that came up tonight. Great, great, great speakers. Everybody. I love your input. You know, we don't always have to agree on every single thing, and but that makes for a boring conversation. But I still love everybody's input. Thanks to everybody that's listening on YouTube and here, and everybody that shared this space. Appreciate you guys. People that were commenting in the comment section. The comment section is very interesting. A lot of information, a lot of gems people are dropping in there. So happy Father's Day to all the fathers. Happy Father's Day, and have a wonderful, wonderful week. Be safe. Be healthy, and yeah, don't become like Peter and get paranoid and become a conspiracy theorist and think that the end of the world is coming tomorrow. But go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, great space. Great conversation. I see we got Scott Pressler in the space. I invited him up to speak because he's got an interesting mission that he's on across the country,
Yeah, I think he's in
getting people to
California right
vote.
now. I love him.
Yep. So maybe he'll come to the next space since we're closing this out. But yeah, I'll stick by what I
Let me
said
say one thing about
initially.
Scott Pressler, and because you would think he would slow down. What he's doing, we all need to be doing where we live at, and then expanding it. I'll just say that. Um, yeah, we all need to be aware of what's going on in your backyard and actually get outside. Put the phone down and get outside and knock on some doors and start talking about what is going on in your community locally. Is very, very, very important. And then people are talking about 2028. We need to be talking about 2026. That's very important. So, and then we expound on in the next space. So we're going to do another space Tuesday, Peter. So, yeah. But go ahead, Peter. I'm sorry. Shout out to Scott.
Yeah, it's exciting. I'm trying to take that initiative over here in Jersey, even though I do want to relocate eventually to the west. But yeah, I think we could do it here. I think we're going to get a Republican governor in with Jack Ciattarelli, and I'm looking at some of the people locally in Hudson and Bergen County. So definitely is something that we're gravitating towards doing. I'll stand on what I said earlier, which is that if you're here illegally, you shouldn't be here, and we're coming for you. So you might as well just, self-deport and then go through the right channels, because like the president said, if they catch you here, you're not going to be able to come back. And yeah, I hope everyone has a great week, and I'll look forward to Tuesday night.
All right, everybody. Have a wonderful week. Bye, guys. Is that Scott? He did come up. Peter, did you bring Scott up? He dropped down a listener. Scott, I'm gonna get you next time. Is he there? Because I didn't in the space. Are you still there, Peter? Or did you leave? Mr. Scott Pressler, hello.
Hey, Dana, Peter.
Hi.
I just followed the two of you. I know that you guys are ending, but very humbly, when you guys do your space on Tuesday, I'd love to stop by then and we can talk about how to empower each individual person to get activated for 2026. And I'd love to do that with y'all.
I will love that. Thank you so much. And that is definitely going to be the topic. So I would send you a reminder because I follow you already. And I really appreciate you coming through. So definitely Tuesday. So that's very important. Thank you so much.
Beautiful. Thanks, Dana.
All right. Have a good night. Good night, everybody.